Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show. Hello, Happy New Year and welcome to the Retained Recruiter Show. My name is James.
And my name is Jo. Happy New Year to everybody. This is the first show that we've run this year, isn't it, James? And we're looking forward to it. Slightly different time of day as well.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one works out. And we're joined today by a very special guest. I'm delighted to welcome Tom Coulter, who's joining us. Tom is highly experienced, very enthusiastic. He's the type of individual who grows and develops as a serial entrepreneur, worked his way up through the recruitment industry as a consultant, got invested in by illustrious names like James Kahn, became a recruitment business owner. He's grown his business to 140 heads, specialized in headhunting, candidate attraction, recruitment technology, in a business which he successfully exited last year. And he currently invests in the sector as well. So got a lot to answer. And he's our expert for today to help guide us through the maze that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Welcome, Tom.
Hello, James. Hello, Jo. How are you? And hello, everyone coming. Like a rose in between two thorns here. And that is
yes.
Tina, move Jo back in the middle.
I know that's one way to ingratiate yourself with the host, but don't see that on the one show, do you? Welcome, Tom. Do you know it's glad to have you?
So you're absolutely right. Yeah, so I've worked in recruitment for, probably about 16 years. Exited multiple recruitment companies and built multiple recruitment companies and done a lot in DE&I through recruitment technology through a company called Talos 360. So worked for the likes of Ford, which Ford Motor Cars, the NHS, Wagamamas, and helped them introduce different schemes. And I've done a lot of talks at the CIPD conference, which I'm sure a lot of you will know, a big HR conference on DE&I and a DE&I roadshow. So I kind of think I got a little bit of knowledge. You maybe navigate the maze.
And for our guests who are listening from the US, the CIPD is the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development here in the UK, an august body who really give us a lot of direction and have a lot of influence out there in the corporate world as well. So great to have that one on board. Listen, if you have any comments that you want to ask whilst we're going through the show, please drop them into the comments box on LinkedIn. We'll do our best to answer them live. If you're watching this pre-recorded, hey, send us an email. Connect with us on LinkedIn, join us. Look up, if you're not already connected with me, my name's James O'Brien. We've got Jo Gregory, we've got Tom Coulter. So please do find us on LinkedIn and ask us some questions. But Tom, we're going to jump straight in because we're very conscious that people's time is precious and we want them really to get down to thinking today how we can actually share with them that they're going to gain a competitive advantage using DE&I. So let's start with the easy one. What is it and how can we implement it?
Okay, so it's, to be really basic, I'm not teaching how to suck eggs. It's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's basic policies that you can put in place to create that diverse workforce. And for me, it all comes down to reducing unconscious bias in the hiring process and the process of the selection process of the hiring manager, so they're making better decisions. And as a recruiter, it will put you and give you a complete advantage over your competitors that a lot of people don't know what it is and how you implement it and why you implement it. But a lot of companies want to implement it at the moment, but don't know how and are a bit unsure. So it gives you that authority figure so you know how to talk about it and execute it. But also, most importantly for me, you're actually doing something that's really good for yourself and for the company.
It's definitely, I think, over the last 2 or 3 years, particularly been a topic that I think has come to the forefront with a lot of businesses. For yourself, Tom, what was the moment that I suppose you realised the importance of it and started to use it yourself in your investment strategies, for example?
So I used it myself. Well, it's more, I used it in my recruitment strategies when I used to be a hands-on, going into large organisations, implementing recruitment process and small ones. But it came from actually very personal. When I had a baby, so I had a daughter, okay, and she came into the world, and I was just looking at all the bad stats out there. So 26% of board seats are female, right? And I was like, oh gosh, there's a massive gender pay gap. If I was a female going for VC funding, only 2.3% of females actually get VC funding. So it was a very personal level for me. And I could see in my workplace and working with other companies, there's a lot of unconscious bias towards females. And it was at that point that I thought, I need to make something different, and I need to change my organization, and I need to change the organizations that I'm working with, and I want to make a difference. And so what I did in the organization I've exited, I actually got a female CEO, and she's been voted the best woman in tech 2023 in the UK. So wow. I made a difference for my organization, which enabled me personally to see the results, the growth results that we got from DE&I. And it all came down from a real personal element that it was in front of me, and I didn't see that I need to make a change. And this was for my daughter, and this was a change that I did. So that's why I got so invested in DE&I.
Fascinating. It's amazing how your kids influence your life decisions, isn't it, as we go forward? Yeah. And so there. And in terms of those give us some insight into the reasons why we do it. We all know, I think because originally it was called D&I, wasn't it? And obviously we've added in the E. I mean that sort of come in at some point as well, and gone through it. And it was interesting, Tom, when you mentioned there you've implemented it in large companies and also small companies, because there are a lot of people who just think this is a big company thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that basically it gets jumped on by some sort of woke bandwagon, and it's you must do this, you need to do this, and I am anti that. Yeah, I absolutely despise anything that's doing it from a box ticking perspective. And the reason that D&I is useful, it enables you to make better hiring decisions and bring in better talent into your organization. Okay, so you don't need to look far to find studies. So there's the McKinsey study, you're 30% more likely, 35% more likely to outperform your competitors. Okay, there's the BCG study that if you've got a diverse workforce, you've got 19% higher revenue. Okay, so there's Cloverpot, the recent one that came out about 6 months ago. You'll make 87% better decisions by having diverse people sat around the table. So as a small employer, having diverse perspectives enables you to outperform your competitors. And it does that by reducing, the best way you do it is by reducing your unconscious bias. That, James, if you're hiring someone, you might hire someone, you'll be more, because the conscious bias is great, everyone's got it, right? It's an evolutionary thing, and it's cool to have it, right? I like people that look like me and act like me and do stuff like me, right? Because I should be wary of people that are completely opposite. And back in the way of caveman times, that was really, really useful. But now you have to look above that and make better hiring decisions. So you don't necessarily hire someone that likes the same football team as you. Previously you've done that, right? And that's what it does, and that's what D&I does. It enables you to make better hiring decisions because you hire people that are good at the job, not necessarily fit in your profile of what you think someone should be. So it takes the guesswork out of hiring. Did that help you there a little bit? Why it's important for a small company to do it?
Yeah, well, yeah. I get the principle. I suppose the challenge for small companies is, when they sometimes are not as strategic as the large companies in looking at it. And so it's a question of how do they, because they'll say to you, I'm looking for the best person to do the job. Is that not what I'm doing? But I suppose it's the conscious and unconscious awareness. I don't mean bias, awareness as much as anything else. Is saying, I'm just going to take, if this person's presented to me. So we come back to the recruitment agencies here. If they present me with a short list of people that look like me, is that my fault?
Well, it's how you've briefed the recruitment agency, right? So it's not your fault, exactly. It's what you've done. And it's the questions the recruitment agency's asked. And I think it's our job as recruitment agents to create value for our clients and long-term value for our clients. We want companies that grow, because the more they grow, the more vacancies they have, the more opportunities, and quite frankly, the more money we make. And it just makes sense for us to do that. So you're educating your clients to make better hiring decisions, because it's taking the unconscious bit about it, where they're making hiring decisions based on what they think they want, and they're making a hiring decision on who can do the role. There's loads of software that you can get out there that can do that. But if they make better hiring decisions, it makes it easier for you as a recruiter. And the reason it makes it easier, James, is because you don't have to look for 20 people that look like you, James. Okay. I can have a broad spec. So I open up the spec, right? And I can recruit different types of people into the role. Yeah. And get different types. So actually I can fill the vacancy a lot easier. And that's one element that I found my time to hire when I introduced this into organizations came down, because the spec was opened up and the hiring manager spec was opened up.
Yeah. I think the whole point of unconscious bias is you don't know, do you? You don't know that you don't know that you're doing
that's
it.
Why, right.
Yeah.
That's why it's unconscious, right? So if it's conscious bias, you're just racist and I can't change it, right? Or sexist or whatever. That's what it is, right? If someone's consciously biased, so if I know that I don't like Man United supporters, for instance, I'm consciously biased. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't change that. I can tell you that it's wrong, but I'm never going to change someone that does that. But it's about educating people so they're unconscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you've worked with lots of organisations, and I suppose today's session really we're talking around, because DE&I, spans the entire kind of cradle to grave of somebody within a business and the whole workforce. But one of the focus of today's session really is more around the how to use it to attract and recruit and select a diverse workforce for your organization. So as recruitment business owners, who I know we've got, loads of them who watch this show, and that's where the sort of the focus is. Do you think there's kind of common misconceptions around DE&I within recruitment? And if there are how should we be addressing those, do you think?
I think there's a misconception that it's going to make my job harder.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it shouldn't, because it should make it easier for you to fill the role, right? Because your roles, the people that you're looking for should be more around a skill set of what they can do to actually do the job and fill the role. So it should make your role easier. So there's a misconception on that point of view. There's a misconception that you're going to be tied up in knots with it, with DE&I, and it should make the hiring process easier rather than jumping through lots and lots and lots of hoops. And they are the misconceptions. And I think there's a misconception that people are afraid to step into the arena and talk about it because they feel a little bit uncomfortable about it. And I think it's our job as recruiters to actually be at the forefront of this and say, we can actually affect change, right? We can affect change for the future by, number one, like we're doing now, educating people. It's your job to go and educate your clients, and you create more value from your clients. And the result is that you can charge higher fees because you're not just firing CVs off all over the place. You're actually giving specific advice to your clients and being a consultant rather than a CV slinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. Well, listen, it's time for a little bit of a promotion. You see above your head, it says to download our battle-tested plan. Go to www.retainedroadmap.com, and that'll sort of give you some indication of what iIntro can do to help you in the arena of DE&I, because obviously it's a DE&I functional platform that you can utilize in your business, but we'll come back to that later. So please do download that. It's a free guide, and you'll sort of find out a lot more information about how we support recruitment business owners. But Tom, how do you respond to skeptics who question the return on investment of DE&I in the recruitment industry?
So I suppose I'll just hark on to what I said before, right? There's loads of studies out there. Go and Google the studies of the value that DE&I adds. You've got the McKinsey study, 35%, your company's 35% more likely to outperform your competitors. You've got the BCG study where it's 19%, you'll get 19% higher revenue. The Clover Pop, you'll get 87% better success rates, right? They're just the free elements there, studies off the top of my head. So the skeptics are that if I could go into anyone's organization on this call now and tell them I could achieve those results, you'd want to give it a go, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd hope so.
And
I think it's a bit where you say stand up and be counted, isn't it? Where you come out and don't address it, don't hide behind it, come out in the forefront and talk about those studies, whether it's from Boston Consulting Group or McKinsey or whoever, because our job as consultants are to educate the clients. the employers who are looking for hiring, because some of the employers won't know those stats. For example, I'd say the vast majority of people listening to this call today probably have never heard those stats. So they do need to go and Google, as Tom suggested, go and Google.
I can
those
put some links, or if you drop me a LinkedIn or something, I'm happy to send you the reports over. I'm a bit of a geek with stuff like that. So like I can send you all these reports, and you can, because there's tons more, right? Or you can just Google them yourself. But people that say it doesn't work are scared of embracing change, right? And it's easy to do, and it's very simple to implement a strategy that reduces unconscious bias. It's not hard to do. It makes your job easier as a recruitment consultant, and it gives you an advantage over your competitors because people are not talking about it, because I think they're scared of talking about it and getting into it, because it'll be maybe lack of knowledge. People don't want to do the research. Or they're thinking, it's going to be more work. It should be less work because you've got a better spec of what you want to do and what you want people to hire.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. Actually, we always fear we always fear the unknown, and also I think there's that old adage, a very old adage, and I'm not saying it's correct, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if I'm running a business and I am hiring, and let's face it, you'd think, ironically, recruitment business owners are just as bad, if not worse, at hiring for their own businesses than other organizations. And you think we'd be able to get it right. But the problem is, when it's your own business, you take it personally, don't you? You take it personally. And we make all of those common mistakes, I think, that we hire subjectively, we hire too fast. Like you said, all these different sort of conscious and unconscious bias that come into play. And I think when you then get a business like that and you say, okay, now what we need to do is take apart your current recruitment process and rebuild it. They're scared of doing that because that takes time. It takes their eye off the ball. Is it going to, decrease my productivity or my output? So it's always good to speak to other people to help you to do it, I think, and specialists. But also I think there's an element, okay, well, how do I do this? I understand this now. I get it. And I know that I need to do it. And I know it's going to add value to my business. But what do I need to put into place in my business in order to make sure that I have a really good attraction and selection process within my business? So if you could give the business owners that are listening today some advice, Tom, on what they need to do to put something like this in place, what would it be? Okay, so we're talking about their own business, so if they're recruitment consultants and whatever. Okay, cool. So the first thing is you write a spec. So you want a spec on the role that's really clear about the competencies, so what you need people to do when they have the role. So if you're going to resource, so what you want them to do, okay, what attributes you want someone to do. So that's really key. So you get the right specification, and then the first thing you're going to do probably is advertise it. So you're going to advertise the role. So then you want to write a job advert, and you really probably want the advert to be gender neutral. So there's basically language patterns that you can use in an advert, and there's a tool out there, and Reed have got one, and you can just Google a gender neutral tool that basically you paste your advert into this tool and it takes out the language patterns. Because what you'll find is a lot of adverts, if you're a recruitment consultant, you'll be writing in a male context. Joe, you might be writing in a female context, for instance, right? So your advert will automatically attract people the way you talk. So like different phrase and euphemisms, for instance, you might talk more about salary. That's a more masculine thing to talk about. And if you talk about training development, that's a more feminine thing to talk about, right? So you'll get different attributes and you'll attract different people into the role. And then when they apply, you can do a couple of things. So you can take the names off CVs, right? Which I kind of love doing, because it makes a massive change. There's numerous reports that people in the UK with an Asian sounding name basically get invited less to interviews. Okay, so if you remove different context from the CVs, you make more informed decisions of who you want to invite in based on the CV. There's also more tests you can do. So, there's a really good company out there. What's it called? McQuaig, I believe. They do some really cool testings where you can actually test. I think we might know McQuaig.
Do you? It's really good, right? But you can do tests against sort of competencies that fit in the original competence. So again, you're making it more subjective, and you're taking it away from how you're currently thinking. So you can sort of fit it all together like that. That's through your hiring process. When people rock up to interview, and you can be really structured on how you're interviewing, the questions you're asking, because what you find is you rock up to interview and you're like you said, Joe, you're sort of plumbers with leaky pipes at home. right? Because you've not had time to do your personal plans, right? So that's the thing, right? You write out the questions you're asking to interview, the competency questions, you score the competency questions, and then make the decisions on the score. Not necessarily you rock up with people, because I've done it before, right? I've got a CV. I think I'm a good recruiter because I've done it for so long, right? And I rock up and I have a chat, right? But actually, the questions that I'll ask you will be different to the questions I'll ask the next person.
Yes,
and
it's very inconsistent.
Because I won't remember, right? So there'll be an inconsistent hiring process. So that's what I do, right? And that'll take you, and that's easy to do, not difficult at all. In fact, it's just good recruitment, right? It's a good recruitment process, that how you manage that, and that's what I believe it should be. Yeah. Did that answer your question, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a situation.
Can I make a comment, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to go back, and I hate to correct you, Tom, but just I know sometimes people will hang on your every word. You interchange the word subjective with objective when you're talking about those behavioural assessments, and so I just know that people will hang on that because they are objective. And I think the other important thing about those behavioural assessments is they are also gender neutral, to again dismiss that that conscious unconscious, or help that bias situation that comes through, because the anonymity aspect, if you're just reviewing, let's just call it data, it's depersonalized, so therefore you're making a decision. As you said, you're scoring it based on those objective elements, some subjectivity in there, of course, but those objective elements, and then you make that decision. And I think when you do that, it's really important. And I think what we're noticing here more and more at iIntro is that isn't a trend, it isn't a fad. It's a reality. So you need, as a recruitment business owner, you need to be offering that type of service. And I think you need to go beyond just the provision of a CV. And obviously, we're all about retained recruitment, of course. And obviously, we've developed our platform so that DEI functionality sits there, so that you can anonymize CVs. You have got gender neutral reports. You are sort of setting key competencies which can be scored and assessed and evaluated in that way, because those are the elements that are really important. So it really brings me on to the next question for you, Tom, which is, in your opinion, what are the future trends in DE&I? For the recruitment industry specifically?
So I think more tech around, anonymizing CVs and taking information out of CVs. So there's a lot more that can be done that can actually take information from a CV and make it completely anonymized, right? So it's just, you can parse it from, because even if you just take a name off, there's other elements that you can do. And I see sort of chat GBT doing some really cool funky things with some great companies that integrate with it, so that's really cool. I think that's really important. I think more assessment, taking the human touch and more cultural assessment, because it's not easy, but it's sort of easy to identify competencies from a role. So what is a good developer, what is a good bricklayer, what is a good whatever, right? You can identify a manager, you can identify the competencies. But what is tricky, and I've not found a company that does it 100% yet, is culturally. So understanding how someone will fit in with the employee value proposition of the organization. So why they come to work, what's the culture, the ingrained culture of the organization? Because we know someone that works for Google will be completely different than someone that works for, let's just say, Facebook, right, or Uber or Yellow Pages, whatever, right? Everyone will be different. Each company has their own different nuances and cultures, and it's about understanding that and how that fits together to make better hiring decisions. I think tech around that will be really, really cool, really important.
Right.
And I think, I'll finish. I think one bit I want to say as a recruitment owner, and how I found it useful, is when I was picking up the phone. We all do new business, and people would say to me, listen, I've got I'm using 2 agencies. I've got an agency on it. That sort of, objection you all get. And the question I always found really useful when it relates to DE&I is, okay, what are you guys doing about DE&I in the recruitment process and selection process, or DE&I now, or DE&I whatever? What are you doing about it? And what you find is it throws the client a little bit off balance, because most recruiters are hard. So I've got better candidates, or whatever the sell is. And it's a different perspective that you ask. It throws the competitor off balance, and you get to really get in there. And I've picked up numerous vacancies by doing that and asking that question. Actually, them going, well, actually, they're not really doing anything. And from there, I've got straight in, because I'm knowledgeable, I'm an authority figure, and I can talk about DE&I all day, as people can.
Yeah, and even asking the question, how many other agencies have broached the subject of DE&I with you for your recruitment process? Because the very nature of doing that is you're showing that, look, I don't just want to send you CVs. I am invested in enabling you to have a more effective and efficient process, which is better for your organisation and better for people to join it.
And I have never heard someone on the other end of the phone say, "No, I'm not interested in diversity and inclusion. Not interested at all."
Yeah.
Right.
And if you did, you probably won't want to work with them anyway.
I've never heard anyone say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think one of the interesting points there, Joe and Tom, is that question that you just gave people there, Tom. I hope they've written it down, because it's a really good question. And these are the types of questions that we train, inform, and educate our clients when we take people through the Retained Recruiter Academy. And if you want to find out more about how we can help you, then just book a call with us. Just go to that that link that you see up on the top of the screen, www.retainedcore.com. Book yourself a consultation with us. It's complimentary, it's confidential. We'll talk through, but we'll then take you through the process where you can actually sort of change the way your business operates to give your business some differentiation, because that question that Tom just gave you there shows how you differentiate yourself, and it separates you from being a transactional recruiter to being a consultative recruiter. Asking better questions is the key to winning more business. More business at better rates, delivering better service and a better value proposition to the employer. So that's really what we're all about, and that's what a lot of this call is about today, to help you become better at your job, to help you build your business and grow it to the level that you wish to do. So let's give go on, Tom, you want to say something?
Well, I was going to think on the iIntro software, right? Because I love that from a D&I perspective, because it does a lot of the elements. So I used to own an applicant tracking company, so an ATS system that worked for 600 companies, and it's very much similar to what iIntro does from a D&I perspective, where it can anonymize, it can give all the technology and the platform behind it, so you can talk to the client about it and then almost show them how you can get a competitive advantage and what's different from you and how you're offering the software together as a competitor. So I do love that, right? So I am a little biased, but
that's conscious bias, though. Okay, so
conscious, right? So so you can't change your mind, right?
No.
Sorry if you're a Man United fan out there. We love you. Yeah. And luckily I don't do football.
No. Well, that's it. You're in good company with that. Yeah. James, we've got a couple of final questions, haven't we, on our list for Tom?
Let's ask a question. Well, actually, before I ask the next question, I think we might have some comments, just to have a look at those. So somebody asked how they get the report, Tom. So what we'll do is we'll post on our website, we'll post a link to that one. So Neo will actually be in touch with you directly to help you get those reports as well. And Paul Hickey, he's agreeing with you as well. And he says most companies hire on skills and knowledge, but most people get fired or leave for behavioural reasons. So it makes a lot of sense to hire on behavioural criteria. If you can then make the introduction and selection process DE&I friendly, you're clearly going to get better results. So I think that's quite important as well there. So thank you for your comments. Keep them coming in if you can. So Tom, what advice would you give to recruitment firms that are just beginning or contemplating integrating DE&I into their business model, really?
What's stopping you? Get going. It costs nothing to. A lot of advice I give you today costs nothing to do, right? Nothing to try and nothing to make a difference. I think if you don't get with the wave that's coming and started, because number one, it's the right thing to do. Number two, you get better results, and you'll be left behind as a recruiter, and that's where we're seeing people get a competitive advantage. And you'll find one day that your breakfast has been eaten by someone else, as I like to say, because you took your eye off the ball. And it's about being at the forefront of what we're doing and being at the forefront of recruitment, because people are paying you for your knowledge. And if you've not got knowledge because you've not retained it and you've not developed it, then they'll stop paying you, right?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
Did that help?
Well, I think what you're saying is stop procrastinating and get on with it. There's nothing stopping you. That's what you're saying. And procrastination is a killer in business. You've got to be decisive. If you're a business owner, you've not got there because you're a wallflower, because it should be. You're forward thinking, you're progressive, and you want to get on and do it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the type of people we love to work with. So if we can help you, get in touch with us, of course. I've got a lovely question somewhere that came through, but how can you use D&I as a recruitment consultant as a competitive advantage? Maybe we've already addressed that one, really.
I think I have.
I think I've got one, a very quick one, Tom. Can you highlight a few innovative D&I strategies that have really impressed you in the recruitment sector?
It's a really good question, and a lot of them impress me, but it's just doing the right thing. Okay, and there's loads of different ways of doing it, and I think the simplest strategies are often the best strategies with it in the sector, and the people that have not overcomplicated it and just made it a part of the hiring process. And it's simple, right? You're just hiring the best person for the role in that assumption, and making sure people don't make the wrong decisions, not on purpose, just unconsciously making the wrong decisions, which is again the right thing to do. And they're the simple ones. And there's loads of companies out there that do it really well, and there's companies that are just not doing it at all. But I think anyone that tries is, key.
Brilliant. Listen, I think that's the main thing. It's amazing how quickly, believe it or not, that's half an hour. Half an hour is up. We appreciate you.
Next half an hour, your life will never get back, guys.
Say that again.
Half an hour of the life will never get back.
For good reason, though. I think it's been really useful, and I think it's helped. It's definitely helped to see that it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be complex, and it doesn't have to be scary. And that there is a lot of information out there that people can use to start to do their research on this. And also, if we're talking about recruitment business owners, your clients, you will have lots of clients that have probably already started to implement this, or, have conversations with your own clients about it. What are they doing? What have they found useful? What have they found that's helpful? Because that's probably going to help you to then steer your business in the right direction. And then once you've got a really good DE&I policy for your own business, of course, you could then probably reinvest that and take that back out into the market and start to talk to some of your newer clients, or even the smaller clients that maybe this isn't, something that they've put in place there. So, I think it's been really useful. Thank you, Tom.
Wicked. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so and I say appreciate you. Welcome back anytime. Listen, this is the first RRS of 2024, and we're going to be completing these or undertaking these every couple of weeks. Our next show is on the 1st of February. Joe, who's joining us on the 1st of February? I'm quite excited on this one.
Yes, so Gemma Bevan from Social Gems is going to be here, and she's going to be talking to us everything to do with LinkedIn, which, we all should be using from a highly qualitative state. So she's going to be with us, and then we're going to I think we've got a very good calendar of guests this year as well. Yeah, and obviously we're now doing this on a Thursday at 10 a.m. UK time. Ashley's asked if we could get a recording of the session. Yeah. Absolutely. And go and have a look at our YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel. I think we've done over 60 shows now, haven't we? Plus there's loads of other content on there, and it's all free. So it's been a great show today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for joining us. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching the Retained Recruiter Show.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.